A very good day to all of you. So we are back for our second lecture in the series Interventional Pain Medicine, and this lecture is going to be on radiation safety. So I am Dr. Ramji Swaminathan, anesthesiologist and interventional pain physician. So what are we going to cover in this lecture? So as you are all aware, one of the most important modality of radiology used in interventional pain medicine are X-rays. So X-rays or otherwise fluoroscope or otherwise fluoroscopy is the most common terminology that is used in interventional pain medicine. So in this topic or in this lecture, we are going to cover a bit of history, physics of the X-ray, a bit about the radiation hazards, dose limits, and the most important clinical pertinent thing, that is ways to minimize radiation exposure for patients and physicians. So coming to radiation use in interventional pain medicine. So International Atomic Energy Agency is one of the agency controlling radiation exposures across the world. And they have described or they have mentioned saying that use of ionizing radiation in medicine, energy production, industry, and research brings enormous benefits to people when it is used safely. But at the same time, the potential radiation risk must be assessed and controlled. And that is the reason we need to know about radiation, its hazards, and ways to minimize radiation exposure in our clinical practice. As you all are aware, Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen was the first person to discover X-rays. So it was by accident that he discovered X-rays in his lab in 1895, and the very first X-ray that he took was of his wife's hand. As you can see in the slide here, the center picture is the first original X-ray that was ever taken in the world. Of course, the second one to your right is the one of his friend, which he took subsequently after his wife's X-ray was taken. So it was in 1895 that X-rays were discovered accidentally by Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen. But as soon as 1900, you can see that they realized, or clinicians or physicians realized, that prolonged exposure to X-rays can cause skin burns. And as early as 1905, there were medical malpractice suits for X-ray injuries that were settled in favor of patients. So it was as early as 1905 that they realized there are harmful effects of exposure to radiation, and there were a lot of medical malpractice suits. So that is when they recognized that radiation is a hazard and we need to tackle it properly. X-ray forms a part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic spectrum is a huge spectrum containing a variety of waveforms. So X-ray is one part of it, and it forms a part of the electromagnetic spectrum called ionizing radiation. As you can see in the slide here, at one end of the spectrum are those waves called radio waves or microwaves, which have got a long wavelength with a low frequency, whereas at the other end, you have waves including ultraviolet, X-ray or gamma rays with very short wavelengths and higher frequencies. So these waves at this end of the right end, namely the ultraviolet, X-ray and gamma rays, form a part of the electromagnetic spectrum called ionizing radiation. So what are these ionizing radiation? Ionizing radiation are a part of the electromagnetic spectrum, and they consist of radiation which can ionize particles or substances. So by ionizing radiation, we mean that these rays are capable of dislodging or displacing electron from atoms and molecules, and thereby ionizing the atoms or molecules. So ultraviolet rays, X-rays and gamma rays form this part of the electromagnetic spectrum called ionizing radiation. So we clinically or commonly use X-rays, and we are not bothered about the gamma rays. Of course, gamma rays are used in nuclear medicine, but we are more concerned about X-rays since we use it in day-to-day clinical practice. As I told you previously, X-rays are commonest modality of radiological modality that we use in our interventional pain practice. Of course, we do have CT fluoroscopy or conventional CT, which are like higher grade or advanced modalities which are available for our use, but still conventional fluoroscopy, or in common terms X-ray, forms the commonest modality or mode of radiological intervention that we use in our pain practice. Of course, of late we have ultrasound that is replacing fluoroscopy to quite some extent, but still it has got, I feel it's going to take another few decades for ultrasound to replace fluoroscopy in clinical practice. So coming to fluoroscope, what is a fluoroscope? Fluoroscope is any medical device that exits or emits X-rays. So as you can see in the slide here, this is a typical C-arm or a fluoroscope that we use in our day-to-day practice, either in the operation theater or in our interventional pain practice. So what is this fluoroscope? So this machine that is depicted here is the one that emits the X-rays and which passes the X-rays, consequently pass to the patient, and the image is captured in the monitor. So what are the parts of a fluoroscope? So fluoroscope essentially consists of, so as you can see in the picture here, the X-ray generator is that part of the fluoroscope which generates the X-rays. Subsequently, the X-rays pass through an X-ray tube passing through a collimator. Collimator is nothing but something similar to a camera shutter. So it controls the amount of X-rays that come out of the X-ray tube. As you can see here, this is the X-ray tube, and above that is the collimator. So the X-ray tube generates and pushes out the X-rays, which ultimately passes through the collimator, which acts as a shutter for the X-rays, controlling the amount or the beam of X-rays, which subsequently pass on to the patient. So the patient lies on the table and the X-rays pass to the patient, and ultimately I will be subsequently discussing about the scattering of X-rays. But prior to that, this is the simple physics or simple mechanism by which we use behind the use of a fluoroscope in our clinical practice. X-rays get emitted from the X-ray generator, passes through the collimator, passes through the patient, and ultimately reaches the image intensifier. As you can see here, this is the image intensifier, is the recording part of the fluoroscope. So this is where the X-rays that come out of the patient go and hit. So subsequently, the X-rays that hit the image intensifier are converted into a visible image. So this visible image in turn is converted, or it gets captured by a video camera and subsequently displayed on a monitor. So this is in simple how a fluoroscope works.